ESN 1050.
Trent Wilson. Oh, gee, oh, my. And a movie to the top floor. And a stick back jab of biblical proportions.
Hey, he crowned him. He just got up. He punched it. Flat-footed again. Just used his vertical. He was the strongest one up there. He got up above the rim. His head was above the rim. Nobody was up there with him.
Number 3.
Sticking with the NBA, Cavaliers and Hornets in Charlotte, Jetty Osman beat the buzzer at the end of the third quarter. The call from WTAM Radio.
4 on the clock. Jetty up the left side. Stops. 3. Good at the buzzer. Jetty Osman hit that one from Mount Pilot. And it's 98-76. Number 2.
Hope you have those NCAA tournament brackets done. First game of the night in Dayton. First 4 on Tuesday. Texas A&M Corpus Christi with a first. Its first ever NCAA tournament win in program history. Westwood 1, NCAA Radio Network on the call.
Tennyson slashes in at the foul line, turns around Larson and scoops it in. Trey Tennyson comes through when he's needed the most. Timeout, Texas A&M Corpus Christi, as Tennyson gives the Islanders a 72-69 lead.
Number 1.
Game 2 Tuesday night in Dayton. Pitt and Mississippi State. ACC versus the SEC. In the end, Pitt trying to hold on and escape with the victory, and they did just that. The call from the Westwood 1 NCAA Radio Network.
Jamarius Burton has it, playing with 4 personals, guarded by Cameron Matthews. Tolu Smith now on the switch. 13 seconds remaining in the game. 10 to shoot. Burton, left lane line, mid-range jumper. Give it to him. Jamarius Burton is made for this moment.
Pitt gets the win, and it's the 7th first 4 game decided by a single point. Sports Center all night, ESPN Radio. We are now into the NFL business year, free agency, deals. And what about a guy like Lamar Jackson and the non-exclusive franchise tag?
Washington Commanders, based on how this thing is playing out with Aaron Rodgers, the Jets, and then San Francisco. I think San Francisco and that match with Lamar Jackson would be undefendable. I really believe it would if they were able to get him in there. Now, look, I'm not basing this on the premise of how this would happen and what year's draft picks. I'm just talking about teams where Lamar Jackson could go in right now and be a lot of who he is already, right? With the ability to kind of create that run game. San Francisco, to me, dude, I would be pissed off for the defensive coordinators in the NFL if he ended up in Shanahan's system with the way that they call offense.
I would say Indianapolis right now. You know, I like San Francisco, Washington, because it keeps them out of the AFC. Mm-hmm. I think also I would hope that Baltimore would match any offer by someone else.
And we'll have to see where Lamar Jackson lands. Could be back in Baltimore. They have the right to match. Straight ahead, drama in Dayton. Twice over. That's next at ESPN Radio.
Coming up Wednesday, it's March Madness, baby. Can my Duke Blue Devils cut down the nets? And if so, how will it impact Aaron Rodgers' legacy? Wednesday morning at 6 Eastern on ESPN Radio, E2, and ESPNU.
Individuals and businesses with tax problems, listen carefully. Do you feel like you're losing control of your finances? If you owe over $10,000 in back taxes or have unfiled tax returns, we can help you take back control. The IRS is the largest and most aggressive collection agency in the world, and they can seize your bank accounts, garnish your paycheck, close your business, and file criminal charges. Take control of your tax problem now by calling the experts at U.S. Tax Shield and take advantage of the Fresh Start program and new laws that may allow us to negotiate a settlement for the lowest amount possible. Our team of tax attorneys and enrolled agents can stop collections and get you protected so you can take control of your financial future. U.S. Tax Shield offers a price protection guaranteed quote to get you protected today. U.S. Tax Shield is A+ rated with the Better Business Bureau, so call now. 800-687-5192. That's 800-687-5192. U.S. Tax Shield. 800-687-5192.
Unexpected reactions to smart financial decisions brought to you by feedthepig.org.
Well, I finally did it. My student loan is totally paid off.
I can't believe it.
I can't believe it either. I paid more than the minimum each month, and soon enough, it was gone.
So you're just giving up?
Giving up on what? The life of luxury. Egyptian cotton, caviar Thursdays, designer everything.
What are you talking about?
Our plan. What happened to winning the lottery and mastering the art of the perfect mimosa? Hosting galas, wearing enough jewelry to require a bodyguard, vacationing in the French Riviera, and then buying it.
I just thought maybe it was time to prepare for my future. You know, set some financial goals, make some smart investments, open a 401k.
Financial goals? Investments? A 401k? You are horrifying right now. Listen, if winning the lottery were easy, everyone would do it.
When it comes to financial stability, don't get left behind. Get tools and tips for saving at feedthepig.org. This message brought to you by the American Institute of CPAs and the Ad Council.
It's important to plan ahead for emergencies, like the storm. When it kicked in, we had a plan.
Separated.
We were able to get in touch with each other in no time.
No idea how to find each other.
My husband kept the kids occupied.
Calling our son, but there was no reception. Everything was down. I felt like breaking down and crying, but I had to try and stay calm.
The whole experience was fine.
Was the most frightening 10 hours of my life. It was kind of like
a little family adventure.
Every mother hopes will never happen to her.
I remember the relief of being together.
I realized he was out there all alone.
If there's one piece of advice I'd offer other moms out there, it's to stay calm and keep to the plan.
Some parents plan ahead, some don't. Make sure you know where to find your family in an emergency. Start your plan at ready.gov. A public service announcement brought to you by FEMA and the Ad Council.
Peekaboo. Peekaboo. Smile.
Smile, buddy.
Come on. Smile. Oh, honey, he's still not smiling.
Maybe he's not a smiler.
Yeah. Maybe he's just not a happy baby.
Maybe he's just being a boy. You know how boys are.
Or maybe he's teething. Oh, poor baby. I think his gums hurt.
Maybe he's just tired.
Or maybe his tummy hurts. He didn't eat that much.
Maybe he's not ticklish.
You think maybe he's scared of the dog?
Maybe he'll outgrow it. Maybe it's a phase. Maybe he just doesn't like smiling.
Maybe he has autism, and we can definitely do something to help.
Maybe is all you need to find out more about autism. No big, joyful smiles by 6 months is one early sign. Learn the others at autismspeaks.org/signs or see a doctor today for an autism screening. The sooner it's diagnosed, the better. And it can make a lifetime of difference. Brought to you by Autism Speaks and the Ad Council.
From the Old National Bank State Street studio, this is Chicago's home for sports.
WMVP WSHE HD2 Chicago.
A Good Karma Brands radio station.
2020.
On SportsCenter all night. Aaron Rodgers has a list, and the Jets are checking it twice.
Al Lazard going to the Jets? Oh, that's interesting. And they're interested in Randall Cobb and Mercedes Lewis? That's interesting.
The NCAA tournament tips off.
Tennyson slashes in at the foul line, turns around Larson and scoops it in. Trey Tennyson comes through.
And more from an action-packed night on the hardwood. 4 on the clock. Jetty up the left side. Stops. 3. Good at the buzzer. Jetty Osmond hit that one from Mount Pilot. This is SportsCenter all night.
Other young people will look at that and say, my idol, John Morant, was not weak enough, strong enough to say, I need help and go into some sort of counseling. And so other people can as well.
Here's Jay Reynolds.
SportsCenter all night, ESPN Radio, the ESPN app, Sirius XM Channel 80. We get to the day the NFL year begins, but also beginning. The NCAA tournament gets underway in earnest Thursday and Friday, but it's Dayton that takes center stage midweek, the first 4. As the tournament officially gets underway Tuesday night, action in the Midwest region, Pitt and Mississippi State, battling in Dayton for the 11 line in that region. Neither team leading by more than 6. And down the stretch,
Jamarius Burton has it, playing with 4 personals, guarded by Cameron Matthews. Tolu Smith now on the switch. 13 seconds remaining in the game. 10 to shoot. Burton, left lane line, mid-range jumper. Give it to him. Jamarius Burton is made for this moment.
Yes, he is. Westwood One NCAA Radio Network. Pitt takes the lead with that huge bucket. Southeast Missouri State with a last chance.
Elliott from the hash mark. Fakes it left, fakes it right. Into Smith. 5 seconds. Smith driving against Guillermo Diaz-Graham. Blocked out of bounds. 2.7 left. Davis has the ball on his right hip. Davis fires it into the corner. 3-pointer Shaquille Moore for the win. Tip up trap by Jeffries. No! Off the mark. Pittsburgh escapes.
Ben Eagle giving us that call. And if we get calls like that over the next 3 weeks on the Westwood One NCAA Radio Network, we're going to be in for a treat with this tournament. Pitt comes away. They hang on for the 60-59 win. Jamarius Burton with the go-ahead jumper with just under 10 seconds to go. Before that go-ahead bucket, he hadn't scored in nearly 35 minutes since there was 14:49 left in the first half. His coach, Jeff Capel.
What we told our guys in the timeout was just smile, like enjoy this moment, and I think that's the biggest thing, man. This is the tournament you dream in, playing in your whole life. And, it's a heck of a game. Both teams really fighting and battling and competing. And, our guys enjoy those moments. We've had big games and different guys have stepped up, and I thought it showed, who Jamarius Burton is. He's an all-conference guy, first-team all-league guy for us. There was a lot of foul trouble today, but he stepped up and wanted the basketball in that situation. Made an unbelievable play.
Pittsburgh gets its first NCAA tournament win since 2014.
Well, the thing that I'm most grateful for is to be on this journey with this team, with this group of guys. Freddie, they have been amazing. I mean, they really, really have. Just everything they've been through, how much they genuinely care about each other, how they fight with each other and for each other. And that's the thing. I mean, look, the wins and where we are, advancing and all that stuff is awesome. It's incredible, but it's a byproduct of what we get to be around every day.
Jeff Capel, a guest earlier on ESPN Radio on Freddie and Fitzsimmons. Pittsburgh gets the win. They are slotted into the 11 line in the Midwest. They are in a matchup with Iowa State, the 6th seed, on Friday in Greensboro. We also had a battle in the South region, Southeast Missouri State, Texas A&M Corpus Christi, looking to advance on the 16 line, and this one came down to the waning moments.
Russell jogs it up the floor. Simo down 3. Picked up by Fryer. Between the legs. Step back 3. Russell off the front of the rim. Musila flies in for the rebound. And a foul with 1.5 remaining.
Southeast Missouri State missing a shot at a game-tying 3.
Texas A&M Corpus Christi is a winner in the NCAA tournament for the first time. A&M Corpus Christi puts away Southeast Missouri State 75-71 here in Dayton.
I call also on the Westwood One NCAA Radio Network. A&M Corpus Christi playing 1 seed Alabama in the South region. The first round in Birmingham on Thursday. First NCAA tournament win, though, in their 3rd appearance. Earlier on ESPN Radio, their coach, Steve Lutz.
I couldn't be more proud of these guys. We came into this program 2 years ago, and these guys, I was an unproven head coach, and we're coming out of COVID and recruited basically a brand new team. We brought in the highest number of transfers in the country almost, and then we had an awesome season, and then those guys all stayed. I mean, in the transfer portal era, for those guys to all have stayed, is just a testament to what good people they are. And, they believed in what we're about. So, you have all of that, and then you're able to repeat it. You can't, this is storybook stuff, right? This is just storybook stuff.
Texas A&M Corpus Christi, 13-1 in their last 14 games, including Tuesday's win in Dayton. The NCAA tournament officially underway, but you still have time to get your brackets in. We are into 8 digits on the counter for the ESPN Tournament Challenge. Roughly 13 million brackets entered. Alabama selected to win on about 20% of those brackets. Houston, the next most popular, at 14.5%. by comparison, on the women's side, 45% of the brackets that have been entered have South Carolina winning it all. Get your brackets in today, men's and women's. Download the Tournament Challenge app and get your brackets in. Sports Center all night, ESPN Radio, NBA. Couple of marquee teams getting together in Phoenix. Suns hosting the Bucks, and it turned into a key night for Milwaukee.
Paul's got it into the front court. He'll pass it away. Wainwright's got it. He'll hold on, and there's the final horn, and the Bucks are going to come away with another hard-earned win tonight. They pick up win number 50 tonight, clinch a spot in the playoffs, the first team in the league to do that with a 116-104 win, breaking a 4-game losing streak here from the desert in Phoenix.
I was on it on WTMJ, 116-104. Bucks, first team this season to 50 wins. They've had 50 wins in 4 of the last 5 seasons. As you heard, they clinch a playoff berth. They've made the playoffs in 7 consecutive seasons. 36 points, 11 rebounds, 8 assists for Giannis Antetokounmpo in the win. 7 games on the Wednesday schedule, including the Clippers hosting the Warriors. You'll hear that one here on ESPN Radio. They're currently tied for the 5 seed in the West, those 2 teams. Warriors have been solid at home, frankly, abysmal on the road. And Klay Thompson knows it.
We need to show we can string together some wins, and I know we will. We know when it comes playoff time, you have to win on the road to become the champs. We got a golden opportunity ahead of us to come away with the winning record on this road trip. We got some big tests ahead, but we're all ready for it. We're rejuvenated after being home for a couple games.
Klay Thompson on ESPN Radio after Monday's win at home. Our Stephen A. Smith says the home and road disparity is concerning.
It's going to be you either balling or you're not. It ain't going to be we're seeing you at the Chase Center and you one thing, and then you go on the road and we can't even recognize you. That is my trepidation, though. Golden State Warriors have been an alarming roller coaster, and that is what has thrown me for a loop. I don't even recognize them when they're on the road. I can't believe what I'm seeing.
Warriors Wednesday night in L.A. to face the Clippers, presented by Indeed. Our coverage begins at 9:30 Eastern on select ESPN radio stations. Sports Center all night, ESPN Radio.
Multiple Jets team officials fly out to meet with Aaron Rodgers in person.
You put the owner on the plane, you put the team president on the plane, you put the head coach, GM, the offensive coordinator on the plane. You're not doing that because you're hoping he'll listen. You're doing that because you're hoping to walk away with some sort of resolution.
That certainly indicates a strong chance that it's heading in the direction of him being traded to the Jets.
Jets have made their sales pitch. We could get some clarity Wednesday as the NFL's league year officially gets underway. ESPN's Michelle Steele.
The quarterback who once spent 2 weeks hosting Jeopardy, giving fans the answers, has become the biggest question mark of the NFL offseason himself. We'll take "How did Aaron Rodgers get here?" for 500.
And the words of the great Alex Trebek. So long.
This latest round of guessing what Rodgers does next began seconds after the Packers season ended, with his friend and teammate Randall Cobb, 27 years in Green Bay between them, walking through the tunnel for what looked like the last time. It didn't appear that Rodgers enjoyed the cameras in that moment. He was more friendly to cameras on the Pat McAfee show, disclosing he was considering leaving football altogether, but would work through his process at an isolation retreat.
What's isolation retreat? We're just going into a cave?
It's 4 nights of complete darkness.
What?
Back in snowy Green Bay, team president and CEO Mark Murphy said the team gave him permission to speak to the Jets about a trade, which Rodgers did, meeting with Jets owner Woody Johnson and top brass. But Murphy left open the possibility of number 12 returning to the pack. Sort of.
Yeah, I mean, unless if things don't work out the way we would want them, yeah, he's obviously a great player. I think we'd all, both sides, and all, we'd love to have it resolved by start of free agency.
Stay tuned.
Stay tuned? How long we got to wait?
No, I think it won't be long.
But on Tuesday, all the news about Aaron Rodgers still comes in the form of a question. Before his final game at Lambeau this season, Rodgers was asked if it had crossed his mind that it could be his final game. He said, "For sure, you don't know what the future holds." That seems to be as true today as it was 3 months ago. What we do know is this. What could be 39-year-old Rodgers' last game as a Packer ended for him the exact same way it did for then 39-year-old Brett Favre before he left Green Bay for the Jets. an interception.
If Aaron Rodgers lands with the Jets in a trade, it's likely because of the to-do list he has presented to New York. Sources indicating Rodgers supplying the Jets with a wish list of free agents he'd like them to pursue. Alan Lazard, Randall Cobb, Odell Beckham Jr. among them, ESPN's Diana Rossini.
We paint this picture as if you handed over like a grocery list of players, and we know that's not how it works here, right? The Jets were attacking free agency, trying to fill holes, and of course, they want to make the guy they want, the guy that they pretty much have done everything they possibly could do as a team, as an organization, to get him to come to New York. They want to get there, and they're not going to be able to land all these guys in reality. Odell Beckham Jr. right now, his market, there's a lot of teams interested, but he's looking to make between 15 and 20 million. That number's going to probably wind up coming down because I don't see any teams at this point right now biting on that. But he's one of the players he would like to see arrive in New York with him if that's what he chooses to do.
There's OBJ on the list. There's also a trio of former Packers teammates, tight end Mercedes Lewis, in addition to the wide receivers in Randall Cobb and Alan Lazard. And Tuesday, the Jets reportedly reached a 4-year deal with Lazard for $44 million. ESPN analyst Louis Riddick.
Clearly, we know where the leverage is. We know who it lies with. It lies with Aaron Rodgers, because right now, when we start moving this conversation towards what's the backup plan for the Jets, there is none. So right now they're in a position where it's like, well, they're probably going to have to meet the Green Bay Packers, price. They're going to have to meet Aaron Rodgers' demands. They're going to have to meet Aaron Rodgers' price, because this is not an advantageous situation, or rather a desirable situation for the Jets, because they pushed all their chips in. And where many people going, hey, great job, Joe Douglas. Go after your guy. Swing big. Yeah. Woody Johnson, this is exactly what you want. You think Aaron doesn't know that? Yeah. You think he doesn't know that? So if I'm looking at this from a team builder standpoint, from a managerial standpoint, this is exactly the position you don't want to be in. But from Aaron Rodgers' standpoint, if you're going to make that move after, a decade plus of being at one organization and winning 4 MVPs, this is the kind of situation you want to be in.
For his part, Aaron Rodgers, scheduled to be a guest on the Pat McAfee Show on Wednesday, 1 o'clock Eastern time. Speaking of teams in New York, the Giants are acquiring tight end Darren Waller from the Raiders. Giants will give up a third-rounder. ESPN's Dan Graziano.
Yeah, it's totally worth it. I mean, he's still a young enough player that I think you can figure he might get back to what he was, and if he does, that's a major weapon for Daniel Jones. And guys, this is not a free agent market that has everybody all fired up at wide receiver. So people are looking for pass catcher solutions that are not necessarily just, let's go overpay DJ Chark. Like this is an interesting idea for the Giants, and it could pay off big.
And also in the NFC East, Dallas is acquiring 5-time Pro Bowl corner Stephon Gilmore from the Colts. Indy gets a 5th-rounder in exchange for the 32-year-old veteran. Earlier on ESPN Radio, or Chris Canty.
He's not going to win defensive MVP. He's not that guy. I mean, he's not the player we saw in the Super Bowl against the Rams, but he's still a very damn good corner. If you have Stephon Gilmore as your top cover corner, you're not going to be in a bad way, but that's not the situation in Dallas because they got Trayvon Diggs. So you have him playing opposite of Diggs, and all of a sudden you feel really good about your defense being able to hold up in man-to-man coverage. And think about it this way. With that pass rush, working in tandem with that secondary, it's going to be tough sledding for quarterbacks in the NFC East.
Stephon Gilmore, entering the final year of his contract, has a base salary of about $8 million. What happens when you schedule an NBA game and only one team shows up? You'll hear what happens next. SportsCenter all night at ESPN Radio.
Coming up Wednesday, I'll tell you why the West better hope the Lakers don't make the playoffs. But what does that mean for Aaron Rodgers' legacy? Keyshawn J. Will MX, Wednesday morning at 6 Eastern on ESPN Radio, ESPN2, and ESPNU.
This is SportsCenter all night.
Are you working way too hard for way too little? There's never been a better time to consider a career in IT. You could enjoy a recession-resistant career in a rewarding field with plenty of growth opportunities and often flexible work environments. Go to mycomputercareer.edu and take the free career evaluation. You could start your new career in months, not years. Take classes online or on campus, and financial aid is available to qualified students, including the GI Bill. Now is the time. mycomputercareer.edu.
Angie's List is now Angie, and we've heard a lot of theories about why.
I thought it was an eco move. Fewer words, less paper.
No, it was so you could say it faster.
No, it's to be more iconic.
Must be a tech thing.
But those aren't quite right. It's because now you can compare upfront prices, book a service instantly, and even get your project handled from start to finish.
Sounds easy.
It is, and it makes us so much more than just a list. Get started at Angie.com. That's ANGI, or download the app today.
Cap and J Hood.
If I'm in my 20s, sign me the hell up, and I'm going to ride it as hard as I can for as long as I can go.
Ride as hard as you miss something.
What's he doing here? This is a family show.
She didn't have to go there.
I you went over the top. Scenario.
No, you went over the top. That's really unfortunate.
Get Cap and J Hood podcasts on demand in the ESPN Chicago app, or listen weekdays 7 to 10 on ESPN 1000 and 100.3 HD2.
This is the story of Daniel, who was born 2 months early. He weighed 1 pound, 7 ounces. His lungs weren't ready. His heart wasn't ready. His brain wasn't ready. At the hospital, the nurses said Daniel was a fighter, and they would do all they could to help him. The doctor said even with the best care, Daniel may never walk. He may never see. He may never learn. Daniel's parents spent night after night at the hospital, watching his every breath, holding his tiny hands, and looking for signs that he was growing stronger. At home, his parents looked around Daniel's empty nursery, at the quiet toys and the still rocker, and they hoped that one day they could sit in that rocking chair and tell this story to their very healthy son. Daniel's is just one of the more than 500,000 stories of babies born prematurely last year, but there's hope for a happy ending. The March of Dimes is funding the research and programs to stop premature birth. You can help bring more babies home healthy. Learn how at marchofdimes.com. Working together for stronger, healthier babies.
People join Walk MS to raise awareness and funds that change the world for everyone affected by multiple sclerosis. MS attacks the brain and spinal cord. It's the most common neurological disease leading to disability in young adults. Walk MS brings communities together, creating teams with friends, loved ones, and coworkers to rally around those we care about and end MS forever. Join us. Together we are stronger. Walk MS fundraising accelerates research breakthroughs and life-changing breakthroughs. It will take all of our passion, determination, and fundraising to end MS forever. Together, we can change the world for people with MS. Join us. Register today, start a team, and raise funds at walkms.org.
Hey, son, how are you feeling?
I'm fine, Pops.
What's on your mind?
I can't explain it. Navigating without a compass, eyes waiting, started to wonder. Metamorphosis, loss of who you thought you was.
When your kid can't find the language, help them find the lyrics. Listen to the Sound It Out album and get tips and tools to start a conversation at sounditouttogether.org. Brought to you by Ad Council and Pivotal Ventures.
ESPN Chicago hits the ice for the hockey show. Host Pat Boyle and Barstool Chief are talking pucks. Saturdays at 1 on Chicago's Home for Sports. Brought to you by the Chicago Wolves.
Sports Center All Night continues with Jay Reynolds.
Oh, someone's not happy. Sports Center All Night continues. It's ESPN Radio. Denver Nuggets, #1 team in the Western Conference, but heading into Tuesday, they dropped their last 3. And honestly, the night didn't begin any better in Toronto.
Barnes straight away, game clock at 6. Works right against Bruce Brown. Foul line jumper in the air, good. Quick hit ahead, Jamal Murray from half court, no good. Toronto puts up 49 points in the first quarter, and they lead by 19, 49-30.
TSN 1050. Raptors with 49 in the first quarter. Franchise record for points in any quarter. And from there, Trent pulls it.
Oh, boy. Oh, gee, oh, my. And a to the top floor. And a stick back jam of biblical proportions.
Hey, he crowned him. He just got up. He punched it. Flat-footed again, just uses vertical. He was the strongest one up here. Got up above the rim. His head was above the rim. Nobody was up there with him.
Siakam front court. Gets it to Pirtle. Now to Van Vliet. Deep three over Jokic. Good. Down the bottom of the well. Freddie's got 36.
36 points on the night for Fred Van Vliet. And the Raptors beat the Nuggets 125-110 for Denver. Fourth straight loss. Longest losing streak since a 6-game streak of losses in November of 2021. Right now, Nuggets mired in a 4-game losing streak for Coach Mike Malone.
Who the hell are we to think we can play 3 quarters and win a game? Like, everybody we play is playing for something. You know what I mean? San Antonio is playing for pride. Brooklyn's trying to hold on to that 5th seed, maybe move up. Toronto's fighting like hell to be in the playoffs, to play in, whatever it may be. And maybe we've gotten a little soft with success. I think we're showing up thinking, hey, we're going to be all right. I think this is a tremendous opportunity for us. I love the fact we're facing adversity because I'm going to find out a lot about guys in that locker room. I'm here. I'm going to be here today, tomorrow, and the day after. I ain't going anywhere. And I'm going to find some guys that are ready to fight with me because right now we're just in chill mode. And you can't be in chill mode with 13 games to go in the season. We got to try to find a way to get our swagger back and get back to playing Denver Nugget basketball.
Nuggets coach Mike Malone not happy with the effort that the Nuggets have seen the past couple of days. Nuggets losing again, but they are showing up thinking they're going to win, but they are showing up. Then there's what we saw in New Orleans. It was supposed to be Pelicans and Lakers, but it really didn't work out quite that way. It was pretty one-sided. Lakers scoring the first 14 points of the game against the Pelicans, and L.A. led by as much as 40.
Here is AD dribbling to the rim. Thought he got fouled. No whistle. Gets it back. Elevates and scores left-handed.
Oh, he's tough.
Oh, man. 26 for AD.
If I was a young player, I could stop him.
You could not.
I know. I was just.
You were a good defender.
I just like to think I could. AD's like a more athletic Kevin McHale.
Anthony Davis, 35 points, 14 of which came in the first quarter. 35 points, 17 rebounds. Lakers roll over the Pelicans 123-108, and it wasn't that close. 710 ESPN LA with the call. Lakers never trailed, led by as much as 40. They had a 35-point lead at halftime for Coach Darvin Ham.
Building the right habits to be able to play as much of a full 48-minute game as possible. And so, a little bit of momentum swings back and forth in that game, but we'll take it. It's hard as hell to win in this league, and where we're trying to get to, it's a big win for us.
Lakers now will be in Houston on Wednesday. Darvin Ham says AD has not been cleared to play in back-to-backs. OKC seeing a triple-double night Tuesday.
Shea in no hurry out front. Played by Finney Smith. Back to the door. Pick jumped at by Cam Johnson. Slicing left. Elevates, won't shoot. 7 to shoot. Out front to Giddey open. Scrums along, angle right. 3-pointers. The Changa Thunder. Money ball. Maybe finishing touches tonight, baby. Timeout Nets.
WWLS. Josh Giddey with triple-double. His 8th career triple-double. Thunder pull away from the Nets, 121-107. Brooklyn trouble in the second half for Coach Jacques Vaughn.
Yeah, the three-point shooting wasn't on high priority for us. Lou Dort came out and made some shots to start the half, but it was the plays before that. Their ability to impact the winning from offensive rebounding from the 50-50 balls that we didn't get. Those are the things that we can control.
And the Nets didn't control it on Tuesday. They wound up losing 121-107. Thunder, meanwhile, have won 6 of their last 7 following a 5-game losing streak. Will Wednesday be the day? That's next. Sports Center All Night continues. It's ESPN Radio.
Greeny, we've got lots headed your way Wednesday in the busiest sports week of the year. NFL free agency will officially begin, and of course, we're getting you set for your sheets of integrity as March Madness is upon us. It's Greeny, starting 10 a.m. Eastern on ESPN Radio and the ESPN app.
Discover credit cards automatically double all the cash back you earn at the end of your first year, which means, wait, hold up. Question for the audio engineer.
Go ahead.
Did I read that right? Discover automatically doubles all your cash back?
Yeah, that's what the script says.
So if I get a Discover card right now, I can earn twice the cash back.
Apparently. Wait! Unlimited first-year cash back match. Only from Discover. See terms and learn more at discover.com/match.
Get in the zone, AutoZone. Welcome to AutoZone. What are you working on today? Thinking about gas mileage. You know, changing your oil with a full synthetic oil like Valvoline Advanced can help your engine get more miles. Right now, you can get 5 quarts with an STP Extended Life Oil Filter for only $37.99. Get started on your next job today with the parts you need when you need them at AutoZone or AutoZone.com. Get in the zone, AutoZone. Restrictions apply.
Take a look under your bed. Find stuff under there? What about jobs? No? Now try your basement. There's a pair of overalls that overall you're not so into anymore. A perfectly good laptop that hasn't seen your lap in months. And even more stuff, but still no jobs? Well, you really have both. See, stuff is defined as household articles considered as a group. Sometimes this stuff is no longer needed. Wait, no longer needed? That can't be right. Because remember those jobs you were looking for? Those are really needed. And they're the stuff inside your stuff. Even inside that winter coat that moved with you to Phoenix. Our job is to unlock those jobs. And it starts when you donate your stuff to your local Goodwill. Here's how we do it. When you donate to Goodwill, we sell your stuff to provide job training for people right here in your community. So just by teaming up with Goodwill, you help create jobs. And isn't that worth parting with the leftover keytar from your 80s cover band? Goodwill. Donate stuff, create jobs. Find your nearest donation center at goodwill.org. A message from Goodwill and the Ad Council.
It's important to plan ahead for emergencies, like the storm. When it kicked in, we had a plan.
Separated.
We were able to get in touch with each other in no time.
I had no idea how to find each other.
My husband kept the kids
tried
occupied.
Calling our son, but there was no reception. Everything was down. I felt like breaking down and
everything
crying,
very
but
well.
I had to try and stay calm.
The whole experience was fine.
Was the most frightening 10 hours of my life. It was kind of like
a little family adventure.
Every mother hopes will never happen to her. I remember the
relief of being together.
I realized he was out there all alone.
If there's one piece of advice I'd offer other moms out there, it's to stay calm and keep to the plan.
Some parents plan ahead, some don't. Make sure you know where to find your family in an emergency. Start your plan at ready.gov. A public service announcement brought to you by FEMA and the Ad Council.
My name is William Yank. I'm a 23-year-old, 3-time leukemia survivor. One evening, my roommate was trying to talk to me, and I responded to him in a delirium of mess and confusion, and he said, "We're going to the ER immediately." And came back with leukemia. They started me on chemos, they started me on a bunch of antibiotics, but the chemo wasn't exactly working. So my oncologist decided that he wanted to try me with CAR T-cell therapy. And it worked. Leukemia Lymphoma Society was this unforeseen blessing for me because I wouldn't have been able to get CAR T-cell therapy. We are about 9 months post-transplant and feeling very healthy, strong, and I live.
To give or get help, visit LLS.org.
SportsCenter All Night continues with Jay Reynolds.
SportsCenter All Night presented by Progressive Insurance. Drivers who switch and save with Progressive save nearly $700 on average.
Half-hour headlines on SportsCenter All Night.
Bucks beat Phoenix Tuesday, get to 50 wins, and clinch a playoff berth with the victory. Pittsburgh and Texas A&M Corpus Christi with NCAA tournament wins in Dayton to kick off the tournament. Jets pulling off a deal that they can finalize with the start of the league season.
If you're just not that in, then what are we doing here? I need a quarterback all in.
Probably would have given him a deadline of Saturday, guys, because we're in a situation now, no Derek Carr now, no Jim Garoppolo.
Jets management need this guy to be committed to not only them as an organization, but to those individual players. So when is he going to show up if he does come?
Every hour that goes by here, there's a sense of urgency that Jets need an answer.
But if it's this hard for you to make up your mind you want to do that, then I'm out.
NFL league season getting underway. There's also been action in the court as well. Lawyers for Brian Flores and two other black coaches asking a judge Tuesday to reconsider. They want the judge to take another look at the ruling that allows part of a federal lawsuit's racial discrimination claim against the league and its teams to possibly go before Commissioner Roger Goodell in arbitration proceedings rather than go before a jury. The coach is claiming the decision threatens the fairness of arbitration proceedings nationwide, as letting Goodell preside over claims by the coaches would give other employers a green light to, quote, insert completely biased arbitrators into arbitration agreements. As for Aaron Rodgers, he's slightly biased towards teammates and former teammates. He's reportedly given the Jets some work to do. Sources indicating Rodgers has supplied the Jets with a wish list of free agents he'd like them to pursue. Allen Lazard, Randall Cobb, Odell Beckham Jr. And Tuesday, the Jets reportedly reaching a 4-year deal with Lazard for $44 million. ESPN analyst Marcus Spears.
I can't sit here at this desk as a player and talk about player empowerment and not applaud what Aaron Rodgers is trying to do.
Okay.
Like, seriously, like, it would be an oxymoron for me to come on and say, well, why the hell would he want Mercedes Lewis and Randall Cobb? But, D.O., you made a great point. Like, some familiarity going into a new situation after all of that time and looking out for other guys. Now, the dynamic of the NFL and locker rooms are all guys ain't going to like the guy.
Right.
And some guys are going to be his friend to the end and they're going to ride with him. So I got to give him – I got to, applaud him for trying to do that.
It's a little bit of that. Like, those guys can also teach.
Exactly.
Exactly. Be a part of to a lot of the youth.
Yes. And everybody at home, this happens in the NFL where teams, I was a part of a veteran presence for the Baltimore Ravens because they were ushering in a lot of young defensive linemen. It could be that case. And obviously you want to get some production out of those guys. But I'm going to give a man credit for trying to get these guys to come to New York with him.
And while the Jets work towards that end on that wish list for Aaron Rodgers, the Jets technically are waiting to hear from the quarterback, to the guys at PTI.
How much is too much for Aaron Rodgers to ask the Jets for in order to be traded there?
This much. I'm not giving Aaron Rodgers all of this at 39 when he might play 2 years for me. You know, over the past 15 years, how much I have loved Aaron Rodgers, despite the fact that he plays for the franchise I hate most in my life. Okay? But Tony, I mean, yeah, he's been great. He's going to walk into the Hall of Fame, but he's won one Super Bowl. He's got the same number of Super Bowl appearances as Rex Grossman. And one. All right? So I'm not giving Aaron Rodgers all this control at this stage of his life and this career. And the Jets, what are they doing? They're going to just turn it over to him? I mean, I don't know what their roster's like, but I know this. If I'm running that team, and I say to Aaron Rodgers, you had some of these guys, you didn't win with them. Now you want them all again. I don't know that you can win with them. I'm not giving you all that. We'll go to line 2. Thank you very much for the conversation.
So this is interesting because one of the phrases you said, if I ran the Jets, this is what I would do. The owner runs the Jets right now. They've had a series of people come and go as general manager, as coach, and it hasn't worked out. As you know, they have one highlight. They have Joe Namath doing this 60 years ago, however long ago it is. It's an awfully long time ago. So the owner is in a city where he is so far behind the New York Giants. It's an immeasurable amount behind the Giants. He watches the owner of the Yankees spend a lot of money and get very good results. He watches the owner of the Mets spend a pile of money, not great results yet, but maybe great results down the road. And he says to himself, how do I do this? How do I win a Super Bowl? Who's available to me? Well, Aaron Rodgers is available to me. Now, you're right. It's 1 or 2 years is all they got because we both agree not everybody is Brady. Not everybody can go into his 43 or 44 and still be a great quarterback, and we don't think Aaron Rodgers can. And Aaron Rodgers is sitting on the sideline, and he's saying, like Bill Parcells said, okay, if you want me to cook the dinner, you got to let me pick the groceries. These are the groceries that Aaron Rodgers is picking. And the owner of the Jets, it seems to me, is going to go for this because he sees the possibility, however faint, that Aaron Rodgers can do in New York what Brady did in Tampa, right? So it works out. It is working out for Aaron Rodgers. He's holding everybody else like marionettes in his hand.
NFL league year gets underway today. Could we find out? We shall see. Sports Center all night, ESPN Radio.
The NFL Free Agent Frenzy on ESPN Radio.
And ahead of the league year getting underway, Giants are acquiring tight end Darren Waller from the Raiders. Giants giving up a third-rounder, ESPN's Dan Orlovsky and Adam Schefter.
Well, I don't think it's coincidental that hours after they reach agreement with Jacoby Myers, they then go ahead and trade Darren Waller, because essentially I think the thinking there would be that they get a younger player who has twice as many catches the last 2 years as Darren Waller, who's a little bit cheaper, and they get a third-round pick back for Darren Waller. Now, Darren Waller, when he's on the field, is a beast. He's as talented as any tight end in the game, but he hasn't always been on the field, and the Giants are excited and thrilled to have somebody that good. I think the Raiders are essentially remaking a little bit of that roster, and so you bring in Jacoby Myers. They don't really have an established tight end on the roster right now. It's a draft deep in tight ends. Wouldn't be a surprise if they drafted one or two of them in the upcoming draft, maybe added another one in free agency here or there. But I think that they just figure, you know what, we could add Jacoby Myers with Devontae Adams and somehow kind of make up for the production that we'll be missing.
I want to spin it to the Giants a little bit with Darren Waller. I think that one thing that the past gamer, Daniel Jones in New York excelled at a little bit was throwing to tight ends. Daniel Bellinger was a really good draft pick for them last year. I start to think that Brian Dable's going to go, okay, we're going to play in 12 personnel a ton. One back, two tight ends. Bellinger is probably better suited as a really good number two tight end. Darren Waller has to stay healthy. We're aware of that. But now you've got two tight ends that are mismatched pieces.
Giants in that competitive NFC East, and also in that division, Dallas acquiring Stephon Gilmore, the five-time Pro Bowler from Indy. Colts getting a fifth-rounder in exchange. Earlier on ESPN Radio, our Joe Fortenbaugh.
It's a good move for Dallas because you're bolstering your secondary. Your secondary is getting better, and it's not costing much. But again, to the point you're making and to the point Canty's alluding to an extent, if a guy's elite, he's not going to come to you via fifth-round pick with a salary cap number of just $7.96 million. That's where we're at with Stephon Gilmore. For perspective, Jair Alexander, considered one of the top corners in the game with Green Bay. Average value of his contract, $21 million per year. Denzel Ward, $20 million per year. Marshawn Lattimore, $19 million per year. Jalen Ramsey, $18 million a year. He's number 5. Xavier Howard, also with Miami, number 6 at $18 million a year. All right. The salary cap number for Stephon Gilmore, $7.96 million, and you got him for a fifth-round draft pick. So that tells you where you're at. Okay. He was the defensive player of the year in 2019. He's been to 5 Pro Bowls. It's a great resume. His game is no longer elite, but he can still play. So if you're Dallas, yes, you did get a little bit better, but a little bit better. You didn't become elite by any stretch. You didn't suddenly become the top team in the NFC. And the NFC isn't exactly all that tough, top to bottom, when you stack it up.
Stephon Gilmore will get a base salary of about $8 million this year. There are some significant changes in Philly. Also, Eagles losing key free agents this offseason. Concern in Philly? ESPN insider Dan Graziano.
They knew this was coming, right? Like, they knew they were going to lose guys. I think in the secondary, there's still some hope, right? I mean, C.J. Gardner-Johnson might be gone elsewhere. Bradbury might come back. They still don't know how that's going to shake out. Up front, they've kind of been preparing. They drafted Jordan Davis and Kobe Dean last year, figuring they'd be ready for bigger roles this coming year. They have 2 first-round picks this year, so they can replenish quickly on that side of the ball if they need to. So they've planned for this. Obviously, the Eagles know how all their contracts are structured, and they plan out 3 years at a time, 4 years at a time, like everybody else. So they'll take some hits on defense. They'll have a new defensive coordinator, so they'll have a lot of work to do on that side of the ball. But again, they're prepared for it, and they're well armed in terms of draft capital to address the issues. And we'll see what happens in the secondary. I think there's still some sorting out that needs to be done back there.
Sports Center all night, ESPN Radio. Also, as we head into the NFL's league season, Saints are keeping receiver Michael Thomas, 1-year deal. The side's agreeing to a $10 million deal. Could pay Thomas up to $15 million. Quarterback Andy Dalton and the Panthers come to terms on a 2-year deal for $10 million, $8 million of it guaranteed. Niners agreeing to a 1-year deal with former Panthers quarterback Sam Darnold. He now bolsters the Niners' depth at quarterback with Jimmy Garoppolo heading to the Raiders. Brock Purdy and Trey Lance, both injured. ESPN Niners reporter Nick Wagoner.
Not all number 3 quarterback jobs are created equal, and especially when you look at the 49ers and the number of injuries that they've had at that position in recent years. So they bring him here, and ostensibly, guys, for the first, couple months through the offseason program and into training camp, he's going to be number 2. And Trey Lance is coming off of an injury also, so there's a realistic chance that he'll get snapped with the first-team offense even as soon as the offseason program. So it's kind of a fascinating match. I kind of compared it to what Mitchell Trubisky did when he went to Buffalo a couple of years ago. He signed a 1-year deal, kind of rehabbed his value even by not playing, just being in a good system and being around a good quarterback with good coaching and all that kind of stuff. I think Sam Darnold is in that position where if he has to play, it's the best situation he's ever had. And if he doesn't have to play, which is what the 49ers are hoping for, it's still a good thing for him to kind of hit the reset button and then go back into free agency next year.
Expecting a flurry of action as the league year gets underway on Wednesday. ESPN Radio keeps you up to date with the latest. Stay tuned all morning. TJ and Max, 6 to 10 Eastern, followed by Greeny until noon. Sports Center all night, ESPN Radio. We're also ramping up towards the NCAA tournament. The first 2 games played Tuesday night in Dayton, heading towards those big days coming up with the first round, the slew of action that gets underway at the end of the week, both on the men's and the women's side. Get your brackets in. ESPN Tournament Challenge. Download the app and send yours in today. On the men's side, kind of a scatter as to who the favorite is to win the tournament. Alabama currently has the most brackets submitted as champion. On the women's side, South Carolina, a heavy favorite.
The South Carolina women's basketball team caps an undefeated regular season run for the conference title, their 7th in school history.
Unbreakable, unstoppable, undefeated South Carolina.
SEC champs, check, done. But for one of the most dominant classes in women's basketball history, this is where the real season begins.
Definitely no relief. Now we're into the season where winning is the only option.
Dating back to last season, South Carolina's won 38 straight games, second only in SEC history to the Pat Summitt-led Vols back in 97-98.
She is so big, so strong, so mobile, so fast.
She got everything she needs. See her pick her hair, see her be her own queen.
Certainly, it all starts with reigning National Player of the Year and presumptive #1 overall pick in April's WNBA draft, Aaliyah Boston, who is only looking up at future Hall of Famer Sylvia Fowles on the SEC's all-time double-double leaderboard. But Boston would tell you the Gamecocks run on chemistry, a bond formed when Don Staley secured the program's first top recruiting class back in 2019. All 5 members came in together and stayed for their entire collegiate careers, finishing with a 94% win rate, 1 home loss, and a top 10 AP poll rank during their entire run. Maybe more impressive than their current win streak is how they're winning and who they're doing it against.
It's a familiar story. South Carolina knocks off Stanford.
UConn tried its best to upset the #1 team in the country. One undefeated team left in the nation. It's the Gamecocks.
19 straight wins against ranked opponents, behind dominant second-half performances. South Carolina has outscored opponents by more than 400 points in the second half this season, by far the most in D1.
The only team that can beat South Carolina is South Carolina if they play poorly.
Now they embark on the NCAA tournament, the real season, and a chance to add to their legacy. Trying to become the first repeat champ since UConn won 4 straight from 2013 to 16.
I know this team understands the task that's in front of them, and win, lose, or draw, I think we'll be who we are.
South Carolina picked on 45% of the brackets entered into ESPN's Tournament Challenge. For reference, that percentage, 45% for South Carolina to win the tournament, is higher than the percentage of people who think second seed Utah will make the Elite 8. Get your brackets in today. How about a dark horse on the men's side? You'll hear it next. Sports Center All Night continues. It's ESPN Radio.
Coming up
Wednesday. Have you submitted your brackets to the ESPN Tournament Challenge yet? If not, we'll tell you who's primed for a championship run. Keyshawn, J. Will, and Max, Wednesday morning, 6 Eastern on ESPN Radio, ESPN2, ESPNU.
More SportsCenter all night. Next.
Cap and J Hood.
It's so good to have you guys a part of my life. And when I tune in every day, even though I don't call in as much as I should, I keep it locked in all the time. I'm up here and stuff.
I appreciate you, Curtis. Thank you so much for listening.
This radio station is by far the best radio station.
Get Cap and J Hood podcasts on demand in the ESPN Chicago app or listen weekdays 7 to 10 on ESPN 1000 and 100.3 HD2.
Unexpected reactions to smart financial decisions brought to you by feedthepig.org.
Well, I finally did it. My student loan is totally paid off.
I can't believe it.
I can't believe it either. I paid more than the minimum each month, and soon enough, it was gone.
So you're just giving up?
Giving up on what?
The life of luxury. Egyptian cotton, caviar Thursdays, designer everything.
What are you talking about?
Our plan. What happened to winning the lottery and mastering the art of the perfect mimosa? Hosting galas, wearing enough jewelry to require a bodyguard, vacationing in the French Riviera, and then buying it.
I just thought maybe it was time to prepare for my future. You know, set some financial goals, make some smart investments, open a 401k.
Financial goals? Investments? A 401k? You are horrifying right now. Listen, if winning the lottery were easy, everyone would do it.
When it comes to financial stability, don't get left behind. Get tools and tips for saving at feedthepig.org. This message brought to you by the American Institute of CPAs and the Ad Council.
Take an ordinary putty knife and scrape off the old wax ring. Place the new wax ring over the flange, then line up the bolts with the bowl and gently set in place, making sure a proper seal is created with the flange and drain. Next.
Dad?
Yeah, sweetie.
Is that an old plumbing manual?
Oh, yeah, honey.
We really need to get some new books.
Right, do you want me to stop?
Nah, I kind of want to know how it ends.
Okay, tighten the bolts, line up the flushing valve to the opening in the top of the bowl, and secure the tank with a screwdriver and crescent wrench.
The smallest moments can have the biggest impact on a child's life. Take time to be a dad today. Call 877-4DAD-411 or visit fatherhood.gov. Brought to you by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services and the Ad Council.
Meet Ingrid, fiery spirit, carrying grandma, proud trucker.
I've logged more than 4 million miles in my truck. If people knew what I know, lives could be saved. I was driving outside of Ohio when a gentleman stopped suddenly in front of me. But it takes my 80,000-pound truck 200 yards to stop. I'd given myself extra room, but it's not a chance worth taking.
It's our roads. It's our safety. Visit www.sharetheroadsafely.gov. Barstool Big Cat with Waddle and Sylvie, Tuesdays at 4. Brought to you by Curcio Law. SportsCenter All Night continues with Jay Reynolds.
We're taking you to KJ and Max, 6 a.m. Eastern time here on ESPN Radio. SportsCenter All Night, presented by Progressive Insurance. You did your bracket in pencil, didn't you? Or you left the app open so that you can make changes because you're not all that confident. You want a team that might wind up being sneaky good. Well, the ESPN analyst Fran Fraschilla says, look to the West region and the 6th seed there.
I love TCU. They're tough. They're gritty. They should have been in the Sweet 16 last year, as you know. And Mike Miles being out is like not having Pat Mahomes or Lamar Jackson. I mean, that's how it was. We all knew in the league that once he came back, they could play with anybody in the country. And, oh, by the way, they won by 24 now in Fieldhouse. If you want a, quote, dark horse team from this league of what's been an amazing year, watch out for Jamie Dixon's club. They are old. By the way, that's a There's a lot of old teams in this tournament because of COVID and the extra year. But this TCU team is battle-tested. Mike Miles is back. Love this team. K-State's sneaky good, too, because they got 2 All-Americans. Keontae Johnson and Marquise Noel will make some All-American teams separately. They're sneaky good, too, because they got 2 guys that can carry.
As for TCU, 6 in the West, and they're not sure who they're playing. That will be determined tonight. Second half of the first 4 in Dayton, Nevada, and Arizona State battling for the 11 line and a date with TCU on Friday. There are those who were unable to find their way to the NCAA tournament and then received an invitation to the NIT. North Carolina, of course, declined their offer. Rutgers did accept. They were slotted in as a 1 seed in the NIT. That didn't last long.
Rutgers needs to score to avoid the upset. Keep the season going. Simpson, 5 to go, looking for the tie, and tipped by Amori. It doesn't go! Hofstra has upset the 1 seed Rutgers.
Rutgers one and done. The game on ESPN Plus, 88-86 in overtime. Hofstra gets the win. They'll get either Virginia Tech or Cincinnati, who will play on Wednesday. Hofstra with their first NIT win since 2006. Hofstra knocking off a 1 seed on a night with some great moments. Let's turn to Steve Lennox with the top sounds from Tuesday.
Number 4.
Jay, let's start with the NBA. Raptors home in Toronto against the Nuggets. Fred VanVleet, 8 threes, 36 points. And OG Anunoby, yes, OG, with 24, including this hammer dunk in the second quarter. The call, TSN 1050.
Trent pulses. OG, oh my! Anunoby to the top floor. And a stick back jam of biblical proportions. Hey, he crowned him. He just got up. He punched it. Flat-footed again. Just used his vertical. He was the strongest one up here. Got up above the rim. His head was above the rim. Nobody was up there with him.
Number 3.
Sticking with the NBA, Cavaliers and Hornets in Charlotte. Jetty Osman. They beat the buzzer at the end of the third quarter. The call from WTAM Radio.
4 on the clock. Jetty up the left side. Stops for 3. Good at the buzzer. Jetty Osman hit that one from Mount Pilot. And it's 98-76.
Number 2.
Hope you have those NCAA tournament brackets done. First game of the night in Dayton. First 4 on Tuesday. Texas A&M Corpus Christi with a first. Its first ever NCAA tournament win in program history. Westwood 1, NCAA Radio Network on the call.
Tennyson slashes in at the foul line, turns around Larson and scoops it in. Trey Tennyson comes through when he's needed the most. Timeout, Texas A&M Corpus Christi, as Tennyson gives the Islanders a 72-69 lead.
Number 1.
Game 2 Tuesday night in Dayton. Pitt and Mississippi State. ACC versus the SEC. In the end, Pitt trying to hold on and escape with the victory, and they did just that. The call from the Westwood 1 NCAA Radio Network.
Jamarius Burton has it, playing with 4 personals, guarded by Cameron Matthews. Tolu Smith now on the switch. 13 seconds remaining in the game. 10 to shoot. Burton, left lane line, mid-range jumper. Give it to him. Jamarius Burton is made for this moment.
Pitt gets the win, and it's the 7th first 4 game decided by a single point. Sports Center all night, ESPN Radio. We are now into the NFL business year, free agency, deals. And what about a guy like Lamar Jackson and the non-exclusive franchise tag?
Washington Commanders, based on how this thing is playing out with Aaron Rodgers, the Jets, and then San Francisco. I think San Francisco and that match with Lamar Jackson would be undefendable. I really believe it would if they were able to get him in. Now, look, I'm not basing this on the premise of how this would happen and what year's draft picks. I'm just talking about teams where Lamar Jackson could go in right now and be a lot of who he is already, right? With the ability to kind of create that run game. San Francisco, to me, dude, I would be pissed off for the defensive coordinators in the NFL if he ended up in Shanahan's system with the way that they call offense.
I would say Indianapolis right now. You know, I like San Francisco, Washington, because it keeps them out of the AFC. Mm-hmm. I think also I would hope that Baltimore would match any offer by someone else.
ESPN analyst Dan Orlovsky. Much more football this morning with the league's new year now off and rolling. And some teams may want to beware the Ides of March. It is Wednesday, March 15th. We'll see how any moves today affect things at Caesars. Key, Jay, and Max are next. They'll have all the latest. I'm Jay Reynolds. Back tomorrow with Sports Center all night. It's ESPN Radio.
Coming up next, Keyshawn, J. Will, and Max on
Discover credit cards automatically double all the cash back you earn at the end of your first year, which means... Wait, hold up. Question for the audio engineer.
Go ahead.
Did I read that right? Discover automatically doubles all your cash back?
Yeah, that's what the script says.
So if I get a Discover card right now, I can earn twice the cash back.
Apparently. Wait! Unlimited first-year cash back match. Only from Discover. See terms and learn more at discover.com/match.
Get in the zone, AutoZone. Welcome to AutoZone. What are you working on today? Thinking about gas mileage. You know, changing your oil with a full synthetic oil like Valvoline Advanced can help your engine get more miles. Right now, you can get 5 quarts with an STP Extended Life Oil Filter for only $37.99. Get started on your next job today with the parts you need when you need them at AutoZone or AutoZone.com. Get in the zone, AutoZone. Restrictions apply.
People join Walk MS to raise awareness and funds that change the world for everyone affected by multiple sclerosis. MS attacks the brain and spinal cord. It's the most common neurological disease leading to disability in young adults. Walk MS brings communities together, creating teams with friends, loved ones, and coworkers to rally around those we care about and end MS forever. Join us. Together we are stronger. Walk MS fundraising accelerates research breakthroughs and life-changing breakthroughs. It will take all of our passion, determination, and fundraising to end MS forever. Together, we can change the world for people with MS. Join us. Register today, start a team, and raise funds at walkms.org.
This is the story of Daniel, who was born 2 months early. He weighed 1 pound, 7 ounces. His lungs weren't ready. His heart wasn't ready. His brain wasn't ready. At the hospital, the nurses said Daniel was a fighter, and they would do all they could to help him. The doctor said even with the best care, Daniel may never walk. He may never see. He may never learn. Daniel's parents spent night after night at the hospital, watching his every breath, holding his tiny hands, and looking for signs that he was growing stronger. At home, his parents looked around Daniel's empty nursery, at the quiet toys and the still rocker, and they hoped that one day they could sit in that rocking chair and tell this story to their very healthy son. Daniel's is just one of the more than 500,000 stories of babies born prematurely last year, but there's hope for a happy ending. The March of Dimes is funding the research and programs to stop premature birth. You can help bring more babies home healthy. Learn how at marchofdimes.com. Working together for stronger, healthier babies.
Peekaboo. Peekaboo. Smile.
Smile, buddy.
Come on, smile. Oh, honey, he's still not smiling.
Maybe he's not a smiler.
Yeah, maybe he's just not a happy baby.
Maybe he's just being a boy. You know how boys are.
Or maybe he's teething. Oh, poor baby. I think his gums hurt.
Maybe he's just tired.
Or maybe his tummy hurts. He didn't eat that much.
Maybe he's not ticklish.
You think maybe he's scared of the dog?
Maybe he'll outgrow it. Maybe it's a phase. Maybe he just doesn't like smiling.
Maybe he has autism, and we can definitely do something to help.
Maybe is all you need to find out more about autism. No big, joyful smiles by 6 months is one early sign. Learn the others at autismspeaks.org/signs or see a doctor today for an autism screening. The sooner it's diagnosed, the better. And it can make a lifetime of difference. Brought to you by Autism Speaks and the Ad Council.
Live from the Old National Bank State Street Studio, this is WMVP WSAG HD2, Chicago, a Good Karma Brands radio station. The award-winning,
And I get it. He's going something brand new for the first time in, 15 plus years? He wants some of his buddies there with him. I think the reality, too, is this. Aaron Rodgers knows the Jets have absolutely no choice but to do this. And that is obviously a breadcrumb to what's going on in New York as we all wait for the Aaron Rodgers decision.
Imagine that. 1 p.m. today.
Keyshawn, J. Willimax, ESPN Radio. We are presented by Progressive Insurance. Chris Canty in for Key today.
What up?
What up, though?
What up?
What up, though?
What up?
Man, what's up is all of this cash flying around the NFL, man.
You know, same
everything, everywhere, all at once. It ain't the Oscars, baby. It's the NFL free agency frenzy kicking off. I love it.
Not to mention
I love
trades.
CC, why y'all doing this to me on the one time a year we got March Madness, man? Can y'all can we just why? Like we got
let me tell you what we're not going to do. Let me tell you what.
No. I'm telling you what y'all do to me. And we got 1 month to talk.
Important words that you need to know are pick your spots. There is no reason for you to be upset.
But if I did it, she would have a problem with it, which is why I feel like I have a right to be upset.
Yes, rookie, welcome to the NFL.
Canty and Carlin, weekdays at 3 Eastern on ESPN Radio and on the ESPN app.
ABC Hockey Saturday. A familiar face in a new place.
Showtime in New York. Kane shots scores.
A battle of superstars.
You're going to just see how talented these guys really are.
And the rivalry renewed. In a primetime showdown. ABC Hockey Saturday, presented by Expedia. Penguins Rangers, Saturday at 8 p.m. Eastern on ABC and ESPN+. That is hockey.
You're listening to 1050 ESPN, your home for New York Islanders hockey. WEPN, New York, a Good Karma Brands radio station.
Aaron Rodgers out here making demands after demands. They call it a wish list.
And I get it. He's going something brand new for the first time in, 15 plus years? He wants some of his buddies there with him. I think the reality, too, is this. Aaron Rodgers knows the Jets have absolutely no choice but to do this. And that is obviously a breadcrumb to what's going on in New York as we all wait for the Aaron Rodgers decision.
Imagine that. 1 p.m. today.
Keyshawn, J. Willimax, ESPN Radio. We are presented by Progressive Insurance. Chris Canty in for Key today.
What up? What up, though?
What up?
What up, though?
What up?
Man, what's up is all of this cash flying around the NFL, man.
You know, same
everything, everywhere, all at once. It ain't the Oscars, baby. It's the NFL free agency frenzy kicking off. I love it.
Not to mention trades.
CC, why y'all doing this to me on the one time a year we got March Madness, man? Can y'all can we just why? Like we got
let me tell you what we're not going to do.
Let me tell you what. No. I'm telling you what y'all do to me. We got 1 month to talk about my sport. Just one. It's the Aaron Rodgers watch party. That's what we're doing.
Jay, it's not us. It's Aaron Rodgers. No. It's day 66 of America held hostage by this dude. And if you're wondering where 66 comes from, that's when the Packers season ended, when they lost to the Detroit Lions in Week 18. But Aaron Rodgers, every single offseason, dominates the headlines because he keeps everybody waiting on pins and needles about whether or not he's going to play football and where's he going to do it.
See, Max, that's why I'm mad at Aaron Rodgers. That's why I don't rock with him like that.
That's but it's Stockholm syndrome at that point. You know, Stockholm syndrome where the captives.
Yes, I am familiar.
The hostages start to bond with their captors, right? Like people.
Yeah, it's like Max, it's like the sequel to Captain Phillips. And Aaron Rodgers saying, I'm the captain now. And that's exactly what he's doing with the Jets with his list of demands.
Captives. We walk into the place to be kept captive. We don't have to talk about it. People want to hear about it.
Do people on the new boat want to be held captive? I'm not sure everybody does.
I don't know where we are with this metaphor.
Yeah, it's keep going with it, though. I like it. It's provocative.
Listen, this is the question with Rodgers. How does it make you feel about him? On the one hand, he wants them to get this guy and the Lazard and all his guys, right? And on top of that, go get Odell. But let's focus on the idea that he's saying, hey, I want you to look into this list of guys, and he still hasn't made his decision, supposedly, right? Is he saying that it's contingent upon me believing you really did your due diligence? Is it contingent upon you landing these guys? Right now, whether it is or isn't, how does it make you feel about Rodgers? Do you think, man, he just wants security blanket with him, right? Or he needs his guys there because he's going to do it a certain way. He wants to set the culture, or he doesn't really want to mess with these young guys on the Jets. Or do you like it because it's like, he's just looking out for his peoples, right? How do you, Chris, how do you feel about what Rodgers is doing?
Well, I mean, listen, if you're a player in the NFL and you have this kind of swing, then why not use it? I don't blame or begrudge Aaron Rodgers for trying to get his boys opportunities with the New York Jets because he wants to be comfortable, number one. So there's that element to it, but there's also the trust factor. When the mission is clear, the expectations couldn't be higher if he decides to come run with the Jets, then you want everything in place so you can be the best version of yourself. And I feel like that's what Aaron Rodgers is trying to put in place right now. It's just interesting to me that the Jets would contort themselves and bend over backwards to acquiesce to what Rodgers wants when we just lived that movie with the Green Bay Packers in 2022. And the Packers didn't necessarily get the return on investment because in a Week 18 winning-in situation against a division rival, the quarterback played real small.
Oh, boy. CC, this to me is everything. I talk often about how much I want to talk about basketball and the NBA. And what I'm watching is the NFL become more like the NBA every day, even though I know it will never be, even though I know it will be differentiated and unique in its own. But yesterday we had Calvin Johnson on our show. And Max Kellerman was talking to Calvin Johnson about, well, if you really didn't want to be there in Detroit, you could have forced your way out. And Megatron looked at him and realistically said to Max's face, come on, Max, you know this ain't true. This is the NFL. And I was like, well, I'm seeing guys force their way out now. I'm seeing Les Snead and the Rams say blank them picks and it wins them a championship. And then this team be dismantled with Jalen Ramsey going down to Miami. And then now Matthew Stafford being on the trade blocks. Like, I'm seeing teams make moves to bring their guys and their people. LeBron James, i.e. with the Lakers last year. Remember when he was talking about how great OKC's general managers and Sam Presti? They're like, man, they really go after it. They accumulate a lot of picks. They go after it. They get their guys. You don't think LeBron James wants to bring all his guys over from Clutch to the Lakers? And even though I give Rob Pelinka a round of applause right now, but what we're seeing is the NFL, the modern day NFL, becoming the NBA,
which is to be expected when you want more offense. So who do you focus on? The quarterback. So all the rules are there to protect the quarterback, to elevate the quarterback. So the quarterback becomes incredibly important. And when a guy becomes that important on a team, it's like an NBA superstar.
Boom.
Right?
I want my guys with me. Here are my people. Oh, Alan Lazard, last year you made $4 million, CC. Now you just signed a 4-year, $44 million deal, $11 million per year. You're welcome, Alan Lazard. And guess what? You're one of my core guys. You're one of my core guys. You're my locker room guy. I put you on. You're welcome.
So Harry Douglas of the hit show Fitz and Harry said the following. Listen to Harry Douglas on Aaron Rodgers. I asked you how you feel about it. How do you look at it? Do you look at it like, well, he's looking out for his people, or do you look at it like, man, he just wants a security blanket around him? He doesn't want to mess with these young guys? Or do you look at it like he's flexing? Is it some combination? How do you feel about what he's doing? Because you like a guy who looks out for his boys, right? And maybe you like a guy a little less who wants a security blanket with him. This is Harry Douglas's interpretation of what's going on.
Is he asking for these guys so part of him doesn't have to be there the offseason? He can just cruise control into things because these guys know the offense that Nathaniel Hackett is going to run and wants to run from that standpoint? Is this going to make Aaron Rodgers a little bit lazy and not going to New York, being there in OTAs when he should have his tail there?
You think, Chris?
Yeah, I don't know if that means Aaron Rodgers is going to be lazy. I think Aaron Rodgers has a certain way that he likes to do things, and he enjoys his time away from football in the offseason. There are other players that are out in the NFL that do that. I don't know how many quarterbacks are on that list, especially guys that are joining with new teams and or working with new receivers. And that would be the interesting aspect to all of this, is what Aaron Rodgers does, the degree of urgency that he approaches this seemingly 1 year proposition with the New York Jets. Because, guys, in my opinion, the truncated timetable creates this added degree of pressure in all of this. And you can't help but compare Rodgers and this marriage with the Jets, if they consummate this deal, to what we saw the past couple of years with Matt Stafford with the LA Rams in 21 and what we saw from Brady with the Bucs in 20. The only difference is Tom Brady is the GOAT, and this guy, literally in the middle of a pandemic, is hosting passing camps with his new receivers and running backs to try to get everybody adjusted to the new offense and make sure that people are on the same page. And then with Matt Stafford going out to LA, the guy keeps a home in Southern California. So those guys were around their teams throughout those off seasons leading into training camp to get ready to go on a championship run. I don't know that we're going to see the same thing from Aaron Rodgers. And that, to me, is going to be the challenge that Rob Saleh and Joe Douglas have to work around.
Well, Chris, think about what you mentioned it before. Rodgers didn't come up big in the final game of the season to put him in the playoffs, right? But really what happened was he ran out of time. They took too long getting the young receivers up to speed. By the time they got up to speed, they had to win like every game. They almost did it, but not quite. So really, we just saw what you just described with Rod, as opposed to Brady and Stafford. I know they were in new places, but Rodgers was in the same place, but had new guys with him. As Mike Tannenbaum always said, he should have been picking them up from the airport, making sure. But instead, he waited too long to get started. We just saw this happen with him. So Harry's